What up, Leaguers? Welcome to the Spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and as always, I'm joined by the Gotham Knight, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce. And today we are here for another edition of the Spectacular Spoiler Sense segment. We're going to be talking about Deathstroke appearing in Season 6 of Arrow. DeepBoyce, we recently got a confirmation that Deathstroke, played by Manu Bennett, is coming back to Arrow Season 6 for a two-part episodes 5 and 6 of Season 6, in which he is going to reprise the role of Deathstroke and have a Deathstroke-centered storyline. I am super hyped for this, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, one of the better things of the Arrow show, both Deathstroke and Manu Bennett combined. Ballerness
Indeed.
personified.
Indeed. So before we get started, I'm just going to read a quote by Mark Guggenheim, because he's saying don't expect just a two-part Slade, Oliver Queen team up where they just, kick everybody's ass and they're buddies again because, Slade no longer has the Miracle in the system. So let me read this quote by Mark Guggenheim, who kind of sets the tone for what Slade's going to be. And then we'll talk about some predictions for Slade's appearance on Arrow. So Mark Guggenheim, he says, "We basically showed the audiences at the end of Season 5 that the Mirakuru is out of his system." Speaking of Slade. "Now we're dealing with a Slade Wilson who is sort of in possession of all his marbles. But, to me, what makes the character so interesting, he's never black or white. He's never pure good or pure evil. He's complicated. It's not that he's beyond redemption, it's that you never know what you're gonna get with him." DeepBoyce, what do you make of this?
Goodness. Just utter goodness. I mean, that's really in line with the character of Deathstroke, where at times he was a major villain, particularly for the Teen Titans. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what's the word on him maybe appearing on that show, but we still hold out hope for that.
Yes,
but
definitely.
They definitely gifted us, the fans, Deathstroke in this past season. He came in towards the end, and it's confirmed that he's going to be in this next one to a certain capacity. It seems, I guess they're going to continue doing the whatchamacallit, the flashbacks.
Yes,
that's so
they're going to focus the flashbacks on his past.
Okay, and then they're going to have this 2-episode sort of mini little crossover with Deathstroke, or focused on Deathstroke.
Yes.
So I was kind of thinking to myself, because they also casted Jericho, or the character of Jericho, which is one of Slade Wilson's children. He's confirmed.
Yes, Liam Hall.
Liam Hall. He's confirmed to be in this next season of Arrow
as Joe Wilson.
Joe Wilson, aka Jericho. So I was kind of thinking to myself that it's possible this 2-episode Deathstroke special, that I guess I'll call it, is going to involve either Deathstroke and Oliver or Deathstroke and Team Arrow, maybe reenacting a certain storyline that involves Jericho and his father Deathstroke in the comics, which involves Jericho being kidnapped by this guy called the Jackal, and Deathstroke, basically the Jackal holds him ransom. In return, he wants certain information from a contract from Deathstroke, but Deathstroke, he's a professional. He doesn't break his contracts. So instead, he just went out there on a killing spree. Wasn't able to get there in time. Jericho wasn't killed, but his throat was kind of sliced enough so that he became mute, and that kind of plays into his whole powers and all that. He is a metahuman, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're going with in Season 6. And even so, maybe make him a part of Team Arrow from here on in.
I didn't even think about that. That's an interesting concept. But I do think that you're onto something with the Jackal storyline here. So with them casting Liam Hall to play Joe Wilson. By the way, before I get into that, let me just distinguish. This is not the son of Slade that we saw in the Legend of Tomorrow episode Star City 2046. That is an alternate timeline. That son is Grant Wilson. So Slade in the comics, he has 3 sons, or 2 sons and 1 daughter. Joe Wilson, Grant Wilson, and Rose Wilson. Grant Wilson was from in the Arrowverse. He's from an alternate timeline that got erased because the Legends basically made sure that time didn't happen. Yeah. So Grant Wilson could come back, but he currently, as far as we know, is not necessarily confirmed to exist in the Arrowverse, right, in the current timeline. Yeah. But with Joe Wilson, with them casting him, they also confirmed that he has followed in his father's footsteps, right? So he joined the Australian military agency known as ASIS. So Joe has gotten himself in a situation where he basically gets caught and he's being held in a remote Kasnian prison under the alias Kane Wolfman, and he's fighting for his life there. They didn't give any more details than that. This is from a report from Entertainment Weekly. Yeah. So my thinking, in alignment with you're talking about the Jackal, is maybe the Jackal is the person running this Kasnian prison, and he is holding Joe Wilson hostage, or basically keeping Joe Wilson in that prison and having him, deal with whatever brutal experiences he's undergoing. Yeah. Now, where Slade comes into the picture is that maybe, Oliver Queen has already said he has information on where Joe is and that he'll give it to Deathstroke, assuming that, Deathstroke would help him at the season finale of season 5. He did help him, and presumably Oliver has given him the information. Now, I'm thinking that with Deathstroke finding out about where his son is, I think the Jackal who may be running this prison, let's say, he's like, all right, Deathstroke, I'll release your son, but you're going to do some things to me. And these things for me, not to me. Hey, let's not get sexual here. And those things, I'm thinking, might be something that is morally gray, which has Deathstroke getting his hands dirty. But he's going to do anything he wants for his son. In comes Oliver. I think maybe Deathstroke might be like, yo, my son is here. You said you help me get you told me you would help me get my son. I need your help. And maybe he has Oliver, get into whatever dirty things the Jackal, this prison warden or the person heading up this Kasnian prison is asking Slade to do. Alternatively, Slade could be doing some dastardly things, in the Jackal's name, and Oliver maybe has to confront him when he finds out, like, I set Slade on his path. Now I gotta fix it.
True.
So I think that Jackal storyline may come into play here because Joe Wilson is being held captive in this Kasnian prison, and it would only make sense that they harken back to that storyline. Maybe not. Maybe the person might not be called the Jackal. Maybe it'll be the Jackal's alternate identity or something along those lines. Yeah. But I think there's potential for that to happen. Yeah,
absolutely. And one of the things that they also mentioned is, I guess, the theme for these episodes involving Deathstroke are family. So it's possible that we'll get to spend some time in the minds of both these characters and how they feel. I guess Oliver, his relationship with his father, having lost his father, trying to, redeem the image or the memory of his father, and Deathstroke, whatever family issues he has. Obviously, him and his children have a strained relationship, and maybe he's trying to make up for what he didn't do when his children were much younger, when either he was or wasn't in their lives. And obviously, a couple other characters in the show have certain issues, I guess, not just with family, but with their fathers in specific, like Felicity. So it could introduce some interesting storyline elements. Another thing, I think, I'm not sure if this involves the Jackal storyline in the comics or if this is just Jericho in general, but he did have a connection with Hive in the comics. Now, it seems for all intents and purposes, Hive is defunct, but if they were able to bring back the League of Shadows, I don't think it would be a bad idea if they brought back Hive, but actually did them right. I don't think they used the organization of Hive to its the best of their abilities.
No, they definitely didn't.
They're basically just people in suits that Damien Dark ended up killing anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a way to bring Hive back. Maybe Hive wasn't eliminated. Maybe it resurfaced in a different way. Maybe this is tied to Caden James or Richard Dragon. That's his name, right?
Yeah, Richard Dragon.
Richard Dragon or Jericho himself. Or I mean, who knows? They definitely have some pieces that they can play around with here. And personally, I don't know how you feel, Hazy. I would like to continue to see Deathstroke, but I want them to use that character sparingly. I don't want that character to fall prey to what happens to a lot of characters in these shows, because it's like 20...
To almost every character in Arrow?
Yeah.
where they appear too much and you start getting annoyed by them?
Yeah, just have him... I would want to see him come again after this, but, 2 episodes here and there, or an episode or season finale, that's a great way to use that character. And if they do the character of Jericho right, whichever direction they go with, like I said, maybe he could join Team Arrow, or maybe he could become a bad guy. or maybe he is another ally like John Constantine that also kind of comes in here and there. And I was thinking about this is probably not going to happen, but this is just kind of a crazy suggestion. And tell me how you feel about this.
Sure.
But like you said, Grant Wilson, they showed him in Legends of Tomorrow in an alternate timeline. That doesn't necessarily mean, like you said, that Grant Wilson does not exist, or that Rose Wilson doesn't exist either, even though they sort of used the Ravager character in, I think it was season 2, Isabel Rochev, and she got owned.
Yeah.
It's possible that they could maybe also allude or introduce Grant Wilson and Rose. And again, this is way out there. This is probably not going to happen, but this is just me kind of getting excited for, the Arrowverse and the connectivity. It's possible maybe Grant Wilson and maybe Rose Wilson could be introduced in this next season of Arrow, or alluded to, and then maybe also, eventually become regular characters in the Titans TV show.
If there is listen, I am more than down for the Titans show that's going to premiere on the DC streaming service to have some connections to the Arrowverse. It seems, I don't know why, but I just get the feeling that it may not happen. But they haven't confirmed anything. I have no inclination. I have no any information about that. But that would be interesting if Deathstroke's kids were somehow used in that Titan show, because to me it almost seems crazy that whether it be Titan season 1 or Titan season 2, 3, whatever future season they have, I find it hard to believe that Deathstroke is not going to be a character in that series. Yeah. So it would be pretty dope if they kind of use Deathstroke and his crazy family history for that series. Yeah. Now you look into the future with the potential for Deathstroke's kids. I want to look back into the past and kind of continue the stream of thought that you had on the Jackal, because I was thinking about it just now. There's actually an interesting layer with the Jackal, whose real name is William Walsh, Bill Walsh, I think he's called. He has history with Slade Wilson because they both served in the army together. So you could also have it be a situation where maybe the Jackal is heading up this Cosmian prison, but maybe he does have history either serving beside Deathstroke as a friend, or serving, or having encountered Deathstroke in the past. And that's where the flashbacks come into play. True. We know Arrow is going to be using the flashbacks mechanic for Deathstroke. Believe me, I am sick of flashbacks, but now that they've come full circle with Ollie's flashbacks, I'm down for them to use it here and there for characters who require it. For example, Deathstroke. Deathstroke, maybe the flashbacks will either have him showing, the relationship between whoever Joe's mother was, which I think is fairly likely, or, kind of highlight this particular relationship he had with the Jackal in the past. And, I think that would be a good way. I mean, the flashbacks are always best. We can confirm this. They're always best when they tie back into the past. Because a lot of times with the flashbacks, it'll just be something random going on in the past, something random going on in the future, and there were times where they just didn't seem to connect. There are times where they really did connect, but I think the best way to do this, especially if you're going to use it in this situation, is to kind of link the past with the present. You know what I mean? And I think having a relationship with Jackal, presuming he is the adversary he has to go up against, I think that would kind of paint another layer to the fact that this guy has my son.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And maybe if they do take that approach, the Jackal could sort of turn into the Billy Wintergreen character, who was in the flashbacks while they were in Leon U, but he wasn't really fleshed out. That wasn't Billy Wintergreen at all, as how he is in the comics. He was just like a dude that was out there trying to kill Deathstroke or impersonating Deathstroke. But if they take Bill Walsh and they turn him into that old school, that friend that used to be in the military with Slade Wilson, that they have history, maybe that could take sort of the personification of Billy Wintergreen, who's like a close friend of Slade Wilson's, and oftentimes works with him behind the scenes.
Right. I mean, that would be pretty cool, because, they do have the same name, Bill Walsh, Billy Wintergreen. Yeah. But Billy Wintergreen, as you said, was in season 1 of Arrow. I mean, Deathstroke, I'm pretty sure he did say that they did work together, but he never really, really talk too much about that relationship. He did say that I believe Billy Wintergreen was his partner, but it would be kind of dope if, like you said, that maybe him and this Jackal character have a closer relationship, or maybe an adversarial one. Yeah. But But I think that's really good, and I think that the potential for Deathstroke in season 6 of Arrow, I mean, no one out here is complaining for more Manu Bennett as Deathstroke. And if you are complaining, I'll slap you silly. Okay? I will slap you silly. But anyway, DeepBoyce, any final thoughts on the future of Deathstroke on Arrow?
Manu Bennett is a national treasure. We must protect him at all times.
Agree. Well, he may not need protection. He's freaking Deathstroke, baby.
True, that's
you know
true.
What I'm saying?
That's true.
He's a Terminator, man. Deathstroke's a Terminator. He kills people. He terminates you if you try to come after him. But anyway, guys, we're getting out of all the spoilers. Let us know what you think about Deathstroke's appearance on Arrow season 6. Are you hype? Are you not hype? How do you think they should use Deathstroke for future episodes of Arrow, or maybe even a potential for some Titans crossovers like DeepBoyce was talking about? By all means, please support the Spectacular Spoiler League by hitting that subscribe button, turning on notifications so you can get the latest videos from the Spectacular Spoiler League, and dropping us a like because, I mean, why not? You like us? Drop us a like. It kind of goes hand in hand. Anyway, we're out of here. Peace out.
Peace.